Go.
Make everybody look back. It's not an eye. Kids just an ugly stick person like
That's rude too. That is rude. Wow, I mean it is ugly. It's still not scary.
How are we doing? Okay. So from here on out, we're going to have some Mindful Monday activities. Meaning we're not going to focus the entire lesson or week on mindfulness, but we will have like a quick activity. We're going to do that for the rest of the quarter on Monday. Let's think about last Friday. We went outside, we did some mindfulness walk and chalks. And so if I look at somebody that took a piece of chalk and they wrote down something on the sidewalk, like, add me on Snapchat and here's my contact. Is that experiencing right now? Is that mindful?
No. Nice.
Now, if you're saying no, explain why that's not mindful if we're saying something like, hey, here's my social media, add me on there. Explain why no, that's not mindful.
We're thinking about something else.
So say again, we're thinking about something else?
We're thinking about our social media. Well, we should be thinking about what we're drawing.
Okay. Anybody else say, no, that's not really mindful, and here's why. Yeah.
Because you're not like thinking about the present, you're thinking about the future, like when someone will come in the future and might read that, and then they will add you in the future.
Okay, gotcha. So we're worried about, and we're hopeful about future events. Now, am I allowed to be hopeful for the future? Isn't that okay? Can I be human?
Yeah.
And goal set, or be challenged, or are we allowed to live in the past even? And reflect so that the future could be better, or maybe my present moment. Yeah, we're allowed to have that happen. But each day, you'll benefit from a little mindful approach to life. Meaning, if I'm experiencing something, especially as an emotion, I want to acknowledge it without judgment. Like, what if we get super angry and we're angered and we're frustrated? Are we allowed to be angry? Yes, without judging yourself for being angry. Hey, here's what happened, here's angry. Now, if we react, that's not being mindful. A reaction is not a response. Being responsive is a little bit different than reacting. So, all right, I'm angry. I'm really frustrated. I'm really angry. But now what's my response going to be? Does this person deserve revenge if it was a person that upset me? No. Maybe. But does that always work? So as we're looking at like being mindful, allowing that experience to take place as an emotion. What if I'm very happy or excited? I'm allowed to be excited. I'm allowed to be really, really interested in something that's going to take place in the future. But what's my setting? Should I be screaming that out loud in the middle of class because I got some news? Or I just thought about it for the first time? So we have a response versus reaction. What about sadness? And this is tricky. Sometimes it's felt like humans aren't allowed to experience sadness, as if that's a bad thing. Now the feeling itself might not feel great. But if we're mindful, we realize, here's why. I'm upset right now, or I'm sad, this is why. Okay, now, should I experience it more? Would it benefit if I just kind of think about it more and more, or what's my response? So we're going to do a mindful activity right now. That's a mindful listening activity. And kind of like our minute activity from last week where you guessed how long it might be when you went inside your head and you guessed how long a minute was, we're going to have a similar setup. So your heads are going to be down, or if you don't want to do that, eyes are going to be closed. And when we start, I'll have on the audio a bell sound. It'll be a deep tone of a bell, and it'll ring. And intermixed with that ringing will be static. And as we keep going, the static will get longer as the bell starts to, as the bell ringing sound starts to fade away. Your job is to raise your head and open your eyes and look around without a noise when you think the ringing has stopped. Now again, if you make noise while that's happening, you're going to interfere with and distract others. So we don't want to just tap or hit the desk or say, yes, I'm done. Or we just want to raise our head, look around, and notice what's happening after you think the bell has stopped ringing. You get it?
Yep.
Okay. Closed eyes.
Hope it's not like ear raping.
Silence movements. Okay, here we go. Okay. Now, I want you to turn and talk. What did you notice when you looked up and you looked around the room? Go ahead, turn and talk. When you opened your eyes, what is it you noticed? Or do you want to talk about that bell tone? All right, talk about anything that went on. That was, by the way, that was over a minute of a bell ringing.
What?
Okay, so talk to us. What did you notice?
I noticed that everyone was calm, kind of.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. What else?
When I opened my eyes, I thought I stopped hearing it, but I still heard it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anybody like that? You opened your eyes and you thought you were done, but oops, it was still there? Okay. So you wish you had a second try at it.
Yeah.
What else?
I tried, at first it went like ring, and then it started slow down to 1. And then once I kind of like heard it fade away, I couldn't really tell if it was either my conscious
Uh-huh.
or like it was the actual bell, so I just put my hand up.
We had a couple people say the same thing.
Yeah.
Were you listening for the warble? I don't know what the official, the wave of it? Gotcha. There's probably a better term for that from a music teacher. Other things you noticed when you picked up your eyes, you picked up your head. Yep.
When I picked up, like when I opened
Open
my
your eyes.
there was like everyone, mostly everyone, and they were all just sitting like this, just waiting for everything to be done.
Okay. So some people were done, most people were done ahead of you.
Yeah.
You still heard the ringing.
Mhm.
Gotcha. And? I thought I saw a hand up over there. Yeah.
So when I got my head up, I looked around the room and was like, everyone's head was up. So I'm not sure. What I did was I waited for the ringing. I kept doing this, waited for the ring. I couldn't be sure if it was in my ears yet, so I just waited for the ringing to stop.
Gotcha.
And then I put my head up and I saw it. I looked around the room and I was like, no, that's
Did you notice the static got louder as it went on?
no one else.
Were you still able to focus even amidst the static?
Yeah.
Now we're having some major metaphors here to life. Some of you are like, I get this. We have distractions, the static of life all the time. We can still focus even though that's happening. Last week we turned up some loud music, you remember? You were still focusing on a task even though that punk rock music was really as loud as I could get it. So your takeaways then would be, this is just a listening mindfulness activity. You went inside your own head, you were thinking about just that simple sound, you were experiencing it while it was happening, and probably the rest of your thoughts of the day vanished for just that moment. If you didn't, then you're getting better at this practice. Let's say you went in your own head and you're like, oh no, I'm still thinking about all these other thoughts. Well, you're still learning this. Same with me. We're still learning how to experience things like that's just a listening activity. We'll do some others. We'll do some with other senses. And we'll do some with some other approaches too, in terms of like a mindfulness minute. So we're going to try and do that from here on out every single Monday. Any last thoughts? Today's mindful activity will have a couple of directions on the smartboard, and then you'll go inside your own head. Here's the toughest part. Don't look away from the smartboard to start. Because what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to look around the room when I say go. But to start, just stare right at the smartboard. When I say go, there are 7 movie characters planted around the room in plain sight. 7. Your job is to quietly observe your environment and see if you can spot every single one of those 7. And as you see them, are you able to give them a name? Some of which you'll have seen before in movies, and others maybe you have no idea. So we're going to try and give them a name. Still look at the smartboard. Some of you started early. Whoops.
Sorry.
After you spot all 7, then the next part is you're going to go inside your own head. Now you're going to instead see, you're going to feel. You'll identify, maybe close your eyes, maybe just focus. You'll identify one character that you can connect with. And then you'll process your current feelings. You're right here, right now. Your feelings right here, right now, and you'll connect to it. You'll describe in an adjective what you're feeling and how that relates to that character's behavior or personality. Now, some of you have, again, started ahead of me. I didn't say go yet. Notice that that's the first part of being mindful is you're already living in the future, aren't you? You're already there. So when I say go, we're going to go around the classroom with eyes quietly. You'll spot them. You're not going to stand up. You're just going to move around with your eyes. Not move around, sorry, but look around with your eyes and try and spot all 7, hidden in plain sight, and then identify one and connect. Ready? Go. Now, 7th graders, something happened in the 3 minutes that I just gave you. Something happened in the time I gave you to look around the room. What did you notice occurred as I said, all right, we're going to look around and observe our environment? What did you notice occurred? Yeah, Josh.
People started talking.
Absolutely. He said people started talking. Not just talking.
Giving away answers.
Yeah, sure. Pointing things out, showing others, socializing. Did we have a couple people yell out? Yeah, we had a couple of loud outbursts that were either excited about seeing something or in response to it. Did you hear them?
Yes.
No.
Sit down! One of those.
See it.
We had some people react, shh, which was just adding to that. What else happened besides talking and socializing? Yeah?
You showed me issues on the board.
I did. I gave you all 7 on the board. I have since clicked off of that slide, but I put all 7 up on the board. And? People stood up. Started walking around. Yeah, did they get in your way a little bit?
Yeah.
Anything else that happened?
People play with toys.
Yeah, people picked it up and started playing. Now talk to me about how that is not mindful. Because part 2 is supposed to be close your eyes or focus, feel. Identify how you're feeling, connect to that character, and be mindful of your feelings. So explain how what just happened was the opposite of mindful. How was that a mistake? Yeah.
You want to focus on the topic you gave us?
Okay. We're focused on the current occurrence. Is it still happening potentially around the room even as we speak? Yeah. All right, so not focused currently. Now, isn't that allowed? Are we allowed to be human and get excited?
Yes.
Can we have that emotion? I spotted it! There's Darth Vader! Like, that's allowed as an emotion. But is it mindful of other people's life experience? Maybe not. Aren't we allowed to be social?
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, that's an essential brain activity we talked about. Being social, we're allowed to be social. But is it mindful of your own feelings if we're constantly then getting feedback or being influenced by others? Maybe not. So if we're worried about other things happening and we're not focused on the current topic, we're not being mindful. Now it's tricky because you're 12, you're 13. I'm still developing that ability too. If you did start to talk about your feelings to yourself, just think about it and be mindful of what's happening right now. What feelings and character did you choose? Yeah.
I did that thing like I guess angry kind of.
Were you able to know what movie character that was?
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. And Hobbit.
The guy that says precious.
Wait,
So you chose Gollum to identify with?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the emotion you were like, this is my right here and right now? What was it?
Like kind of angry.
Kind of angry?
Angry and protective at the same time.
And protective. Okay, interesting. Anybody else choose a character and they're connecting with that feeling?
Oh, God.
Which one?
Mr. DB, he kind of shows
Darth Vader?
Darth Vader.
Okay. What's your current feeling? How did you connect to it?
I feel a little evil today.
A little evil today, okay.
It started out in the morning. I decided to prank my sister, and it ended up today.
Other characters?
Like me, because when you run, you want to go fast.
And what's the feeling there?
Adrenaline?
Happiness? Is running fast? Okay. Other characters you connected with? Baymax? Feeling good? Positive? Now, in the meantime, we try to express our feelings. What do you notice about other 7th graders if we're trying to talk about our feelings?
They're talking about their own feelings.
Yeah, they're talking about themselves. So notice this is still in development, is that concept of being mindful. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you know. If something went well, I'll let you know. If something didn't go quite that great, we'll talk about it so that we can have some feedback and then put it into practice maybe next week. My last class had a really difficult time identifying their feelings. One person said, I feel normal. And I'm like, what feeling is normal? And they're like, you just know, you just feel normal. And so normal for one person, what does that mean if we identify it? Can you tell yourself what you're feeling in the moment? And then respond to it. We also had some people look like this. I mean, if we look around the room, we get this from time to time. They look like this. Like this.
May or may not.
Oh my god.
It may or may not have.
Is that normal for 7th grade?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, anyway. To try and identify feelings, then that we're going to keep going with that mindful approach and then be responsive. Just know what it is you're feeling. Am I allowed to be frustrated? Yeah. Am I allowed to have anger? Sure. Am I allowed to be happy? Yes. And excited? Yeah. But is that interfering in what it is that's going on at this present moment in time? So that experience is kind of still in development. We'll try another one Monday if you hated that one today.
I love that.
If you like that one, maybe we'll do that again. Maybe a couple of weeks I'll do the same characters, maybe different characters around the room. I chose on purpose all characters to lead into today's topic. And today's topic, as we're looking at some body image issues, I chose all characters that had a common theme about them.
They had something that was affecting their lifestyle or
Something affecting their lifestyle? Okay.
something different about them than everyone else.
They are very much different, but they also share a common theme.
Maybe it's like something wrong with like how they look at the outside that affects them.
Maybe. I was going from the basics. What if we give these characters a pronoun? You know that word? Pronoun?
They're all male.
They're all what? Where did that come from?
Marty. They're all male.
They're all male, or at least it seems like they identify as male, or we hear a male voice. So I chose that on purpose for today.
Let's go.
Your mindful activity this week is a mindful teamwork activity. Notice lately in the past few weeks, for sure this quarter, we've been inside our own head. This one is going to be with the rest of your group. In your circle, you're going to decide that first person that came up, your first representative, you're going to decide the starting point. So in your circle, we're creating that first person to start. With the cup of full water, they're going to begin. And they're also that checkpoint every time around the circle. Your goal in your mindful teamwork activity today is to get it around the circle as many times as you can, past that checkpoint person, as many times as you can in 2 minutes' time. Now here's the catch. Not only are voices going to be off, but also we're going to take away the gift of eyesight. No spills now.
Don't open your eyes.
Yeah, Susie. Let's go.
If you hold it from the top, then the water's gonna squeeze out.
Haley, I'm going to take the photo. You're done, open your eyes, keep your voice
When he said,
guys remember when I asked you to turn your voice up? Three, 2, 1, and rest. Let's see if we can process. 2 minutes time. Get it past your checkpoint person. No spills, of course. How many, who's ready to talk? How many times did you get through? Or, if you're not wanting to talk about the number of times around, what happened? Start us off. Yeah.
7.
7 times around? And then what?
We took a rest and slept.
Okay. So I took a cup away?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why?
Because our eyes were open.
Not my eyes.
Some of them open their eyes.
So 7 times around,
That's what I
and then you didn't make the full 2 minutes though.
Maybe we're
Gotcha. Anybody else like that? Like your group did not make the full 2 minutes. Did you have a certain number of times around?
Yeah, we had 6,
Okay.
and our group got distracted, and then most of us opened our eyes by the end.
Eyes open, and then what did I do?
You took the phone.
I did. I came and took the cup. What else?
Okay, so we made it around 6 times, spilled a lot, and we were the first group to have our cup taken away.
Do you know why?
Because we were spilling a lot.
No.
We all had our hands on the cup, basically.
No.
We're talking.
Aha. So part of our mindful activity before even getting into the activity was to go inside your own head, voices off, eyes closed. That was part of the activity. It wasn't just passing a cup of water around, which is kind of silly. No, it was about being mindful before that. That was all part of the experiment. Now we're learning, you and me together, 7th graders and also Mr. Tottenham, what it means to be mindful, what is not mindful. So our examples of what's not so mindful, hey, that's just as good of a learning experience as anything. That's like the bank robbery activity we just did. Was it about the answers? Or about that experience? So that's a good takeaway. All right, guess what? We were goofing, we were talking the whole time. We weren't exactly mindful. We could have done it, we could have gone the whole 2 minutes, but we couldn't handle the simple task of voices off. Other people that made the 2 minutes. Or other groups that, okay, talk to us about that. What happened? 2 minutes?
We made it through the whole 2 minutes, and because we weren't really talking, but we were like passing it around, but we would sometimes make like little peeps, like sounds.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, and then when I think we got it like 10 or more or less.
10 times maybe around in 2 minutes? Did you go slow?
Yeah.
How'd you know where that next person was?
I flipped around like this.
Helped them out? Explain.
We did not.
Okay. Which is kind of awkward, isn't it? We're feeling for each other's hands. But we're trying to be in the moment, pass that cup around, and then I gave you the task that's a little competition, that competitive feeling. That's not really the mindfulness piece. That was to get you in that focused part. How many times can we make it around? It's not about beating the other teams. It's more about getting through as a team, as your own group. How many times can we get through? Yeah, talk to us more.
Also, in my group, because we were going that way, so when Kaylin was, I was like, after I passed it on, I would like put my hand back onto like her knee, so like she knew where it was, so we could get past her.
Okay. Now we've got to have that comfort between people, because this is probably not something we do with strangers. Just suddenly feel for each other's hands, eyes closed. It gets a little bit too intimate. It's a little close. But with a group of friends you've been working with for weeks now, maybe that helped out. Did you make the whole 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Reflections on this? Yeah.
I kind of knew the water was close to me because like I could like feel the water dripping on me, and also like it kind of like just like touched my arm and my
Okay.
knee.
So we had a couple drips.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I kind of just like I went kind of fast to Cece and I like touched her knees so she knew it was coming.
All right, fair. Notice it wasn't about the no spill. If you spilled a little bit of water, we kept it going. It was more about that mindful piece in the meantime. If you went inside your own head and you're trying to be mindful with teams, now that's part of you that helps out with some type of team goal. Can we equate this or connect this to an athletic team? Sure, maybe. Can you connect this to being in band or chorus or orchestra and working on one piece together? Maybe. Could we do this? Could we connect this to like family relationships or friends? Potentially. It's your own takeaway. Being mindful in that moment, and I'm guessing you probably didn't worry about another test that's happening soon. You probably didn't think about a project that's due. You were simply on that task in the moment.